On coronavirus.
And it is estimated that there are about 1,300 and they are going to be traced. Port Health Services of Federal Ministry of Health, in collaboration with state ministries of health, have heightened screening at all air, land, and sea points of entry into Nigeria and adopted the protocols to reflect the travel guidance issued by the Presidential Task Force for the Control of Coronavirus. The Federal Ministry of Health is working with Nigeria Customs Service and Nigeria Immigration Service to ensure surveillance at land and sea borders. Ships coming in through the seaports are also subjected to mandatory health screening and clearance by Port Health Services, especially ships that sailed from high-risk ports and who have been at sea for less than 14 days or have crew members who are known to have fallen ill.
The minister also says the index case is clinically stable and will be discharged if his next test is again negative. He also says Austria and Sweden has been added to the list of travel banned by the federal government. The federal government has banned all international flights to Kano, Enugu and Port Harcourt to combat the spread of COVID-19 in the country. Secretary to the Government of the Federation and Chairman Presidential Task Force on COVID-19, Boss Mustafa, says, consequently, the Malam Aminu Kano International Airport, Kano, Akanu Ibiam International Airport, Enugu and the Port Harcourt International Airport, Omagwa, will be closed to all international flights only effective from midnight of Saturday, 21st of March 2020. However, the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, Abuja, and the Murtala Mohammed International Airport, Lagos, will remain open to accept international flights, irrespective of the type of operations. All stakeholders are enjoined to collaborate with Port Health Services in the identification of suspected cases of COVID-19 at points of entry and to bring such persons to the attention of Port Health officers for appropriate action. Meanwhile, the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19 urges all Nigerians to remain calm and cooperate with the instructions already issued by the Nigerian Supreme Council of Islamic Affairs and Christian Association of Nigeria on modes of worship and gatherings at this time, not exceeding 50 persons. Meanwhile, environmental health officers in Nigeria are building collaborations to sustain and improve surveillance of high-risk areas in the country as part of measures to contain the spread of COVID-19. Onenge Fineface reports that the officers are requesting for increased manpower to effectively carry out this mandate.
Environmental health officers are mobilizing available manpower to support the containment of the pandemic.
All the organs of environmental health in Nigeria are coming together so that we can build and develop a roadmap where we can be able to address these challenges of the pandemic that is facing the global public health concern.
We have 7,000 officers serving the tumultuous over 200 million Nigerians. And this is a far cry from what the WHO, World Health Organization recommended ratio is, which is one environmental health officer taking care of 8,000 of the population.
Right now we need a lot of few environmental health officers.
The Federal Ministry of Environment already has plans to optimize the services of environmental health officers to prevent COVID-19 spread and promote healthy lifestyle, especially by improving sanitary conditions of communities and cities in the country. In Abuja, Onengiye Fineface, NTA News.
We'll now talk on phone with Segun Olawole in Osogbo, the Osun State capital, on the government ban on all public gatherings with 50 or more people to curtail the spread of COVID-19. Segun, if you can hear me loud and clear, give us a situation report, please.
Thank you, Lydia. Well, we received the information very early this morning, and from our findings, as at 11 o'clock, especially the public schools, quite a few of them have complied, discovered that quite a lot did not. And on interrogation, we discovered that they have not received the information, because at noon, we were not surprised that all students were asked to go back home. And that is the situation here. As regards the worship centers, today is Jumat, we all know that. We went around and discovered that, honestly, they were deserted. I spoke to a number of them. They said, well, they understand what is going on, and they also want to prevent spreading the virus. Some say it's communicable, and they are trying to take precautionary measures. Earlier, before now, the schools have been able to put in place some of these measures, especially providing sanitizers and bowls to wash hands. In some of the schools we visited earlier on, before the closure that government announced a few hours ago. We're hoping that more will be done. Today is not a Sunday, but from the grapevine, those that do vigils in the churches on Fridays, we understand that they have been asked not to come to churches for such a gathering. And so the government also said in one of their hospitals, the general hospital, a 20-bed ward has been earmarked as like an isolation center, perhaps for treatment of any cases reported.
Okay.
Let me put on record that up to this moment, there has been no reported case of COVID-19 in Osun State. Okay. But the government is not taking chances. Okay. Of course, like every other state, precautionary measures are being put in place, the same as Osun is doing at the moment. Lydia.
Thank you so much, Segun Olawole, talking to us from Oshogbo, Osun State. Moving on now. Amid the threat of coronavirus on the economy, the federal government is collaborating with state governments on ways of harnessing the vast natural resources for economic gains to actualize this. The Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment is meeting in Abuja with states to strategize towards attracting viable investment. Benny Adams has more.
There is a popular saying that goes, government has no business in business, but to put structures in place for businesses to thrive. With the current realities on ground, from oil prices to inflation rates and the novel coronavirus, experts at this gathering are of the view that the time to work the much talked about diversification is now, starting from reducing losses estimated to run into trillions of naira annually from untapped resources deposited in villages across the 36 states of the Federation and the FCT, with Plateau State alone having 22 various mineral deposits amid abundant agricultural resources. Olusoga David says Ekiti is doing it differently.
We have created agri-processing zone.
While Charles Ugeli, a business development expert, is of the view that premium should be placed on value addition.
We should have systems in place to process some of those goods so that they become marketable in the international market.
The promise by the federal government is to ensure return on investment for all parties.
It has to be very deliberate and strategic. Hence, in her investment promotion and facilitation, amongst others.
If the federal government's resolve will translate to action, it is expected that the investment promotion efforts of Ekiti and other states will surely pay off. Benny Adams, NTA News.
Thanks, Benny. It's now time to join Ogochukwu Kaona in Benin for more reports on COVID-19.
Thank you, Lydia. Good afternoon. As coronavirus pandemic spreads swiftly worldwide, Nigerian government is not resting on its oars to contain the spread across the states. Governments in this zone are doing this through aggressive sensitization and equipping of the isolation centers, among other measures. In Edo State, the government, other than sensitizing the public on personal hygiene and other measures to contain the spread, has also put up isolation centers. The Stella Obasanjo Hospital in Benin City is one of them.
It's equipped with bed spaces, with diagnostic equipment. We have the full complement of staff to attend to the cases should they arise.
Ayodeji Ogunshaki reports that residents of Ado-Ekiti, including health officials, suggest that children, youths, and commercial drivers should be more enlightened on the pandemic.
We are trying to create awareness through, house-to-house campaign.
We have the Ekiti State Emergency number, which is 112.
Meanwhile, Ondo State government has announced the closure of schools, upgrading of the state disease surveillance network to be able to identify cases, and equipping of the state infectious disease hospital.
We have set up a high-level interministerial committee to coordinate the state's response to the COVID-19 challenge.
From Asaba, Tessie Koka reports that the state government has constructed isolation centers, including that at the Federal Medical Center, Asaba. The airports, seaports are closely monitored, with passengers going through checks with sanitizers placed at all public offices.
And also to ensure that there is also greater safety for the medical staff who are attending to them.
The government has also ordered the closure of schools at all levels for 30 days, with effect from the 25th of this month. In Benin. And now joining me in the studio is Mike Obadam, Professor of Economics. Very good afternoon to you, Professor.
Thank you very much for having me.
All right. Professor will be telling us the economic implications of this pandemic. All right, Prof. The coronavirus pandemic has disrupted the global economy. What will be the impact of various interventions by the federal and state governments, particularly with the in respect to the closure of schools and other public institutions or large gatherings, just as we saw in some of those reports?
Well, I would say that, yes, the consequences of the coronavirus disease pandemic are very grave for the Nigerian economy, and which consequences have elicited reactions from the different tiers of government in Nigeria, and also have elicited specific interventions. For example, the impact on Nigeria at the moment is largely a macro impact, in the sense that because of Nigeria's heavy dependence on crude oil, exports for domestic revenue and foreign exchange earnings, and at the present time, because of the coronavirus disease, crude oil demand has fallen in the world market. Nigeria's vessels are on the high seas looking for market, and the prices of crude oil have also fallen. The revenue, Naira revenue, and foreign exchange earnings accrued to the country have reduced drastically. And that has put the government, the various types of government, in a dilemma as to the revenue. So the impact is felt invariably on the fiscal operations of government. Because of that, the federal government has reviewed its annual budget, reduced it by 1.5 trillion. I believe that the state governments will also, take a cue and review their annual budgets. So there is a fiscal challenge in terms of Naira revenue, foreign exchange, and it's having impact on the external reserves of the country. And that in itself is also spurring some capital outflows and leading to depletion of external reserves. So there is need for a macro response. And in that regard, the Central Bank of Nigeria has already outlined some initial, monetary policy measures that could help, to address the concerns of growth. Because of the revenue challenge of government, it may not be able now to concentrate, spend what is required to propel growth. So Central Bank is helping through unorthodox, monetary interventions.
Okay, Prof, so if you are to suggest now, just briefly, what other precautionary measures should government put in place?
Well, as they say, and I think the governments in the country appreciate it, Since Nigeria and Nigerians are at the moment very lucky in not having, any spread of the coronavirus disease in Nigeria, government at all levels should invest in precautionary and preventive measures. Invest massively in sanitizers, equipment that will enable, water to be available in different places, and, continue to sensitize the people as to the need for greater personal hygiene, and then maintain a social distance. Okay. I think once we do that, then definitely the country will be able to prevent, widespread and the need for even interventions.
All right. Thank you very much, Professor. Thank you, Professor Michael Badan, a Professor of Economics. Thank you very much. And you are still watching Nationwide on NTA Network. All right. We'll now take a break. The news continues shortly. Please stay.
Barawa Old Boys Association, Abuja branch, invites you to the 2020 Annual Leadership Lecture. Keynote speaker, Malam Garba Shehu, Senior Special Assistant to the President on Media and Publicity. Topic, Media and Democracy, Challenge of Journalism. Chairman of the occasion, Malam Nasru El-Rufai, Governor, Kaduna State. Special guest of honor, Major General Bashir Magashi, retired. Honorable Minister of Defense. Chief host, Malam Muhammad Musa Bello, Honorable Minister of the FCT. Chairman, Buba Branch Abuja, Professor Salihu Y. Ingawa. Date, March 21st, 2020. Time 10 a.m. Venue, Royal Hall, 3 Gamal Abdul Nasser Close, near World Bank, Asokoro, Abuja. Organizing Committee. Announcer.
Operations and Maintenance. Date 20th to 24th April 2020. 1 week intensive course on electrical power, earthing, lighting, uninterrupted power supply UPS, inverter and solar system. Date 1st to 5th June 2020. 1 week intensive course on studio broadcast equipment and outside broadcast operation. Date 15th to 19th June 2020. 1 week course on new technologies, optical fiber, IP technologies, automation storage and wireless technology. Date 10th to 14th August 2020. The venue for all courses is NTA Television College near Old Government House, Rayfield, Jos. Course fee 40,000 naira per participant. Accommodation inclusive. For more inquiries, please call 0803-314-4383 or 0806-980-9807. NTA TV College, Jos. Training you to be the best you want to be.
Nigerians, coronavirus is dangerous. It can kill. When you see this sign, high fever, cough, shortness of breath, drowsiness, pneumonia, don't panic, don't hide. Don't embark in self-medication. Promptly visit the nearest medical facility. Report all cases to the nearest hospital. Prevention is key. Avoid contact with infected persons. Avoid crowded areas as much as possible. Wash your hands regularly. Use hand sanitizers. Your life is precious. Stay alive. Live long, live right. This message is sponsored by the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture and the Nigerian Film Corporation. Nigerian Film Corporation, powering possibility.
Welcome back. President Muhammadu Buhari has expressed formal appreciation of the federal government to the National Hajj Commission of Nigeria in its efforts at reducing the Hajj fare by up to 15%. Receiving the newly appointed chairman and members of the commission, the president described it as a timely response to the impact of the recent global events on the economy. State House correspondent Adamu Sambu has more.
Officials of the National Hajj Commission of Nigeria were in the State House to show appreciation to President Muhammadu Buhari for the confidence reposed in them to provide efficient and effective services to the nation's pilgrims in Saudi Arabia. The chairman of the commission, Zikrullah Kunle Hassan, used the opportunity to brief the Nigerian leader on plans and activities for the journey of faith this year. Top on their agenda, he said, is the reduction of Hajj fare by between 10 to 15% without reducing the quality.
In order to achieve this, we visited the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and we succeeded in reducing the cost of Meccan accommodation between 4% and 19% in 20 states. I'm happy to inform Mr. President that this act of reduction in both Meccan accommodation and the airline screening will reduce the entire cost of services to billions of naira. We still await your kind approval of the composition of the Board of Trustees of the Hajj Savings Scheme. It is when we have an Hajj Savings Scheme that the going to Hajj of poorer people can be made easier.
He also informed the president that the Saudi Arabian government has selected Nigeria as one of the few countries to benefit from the Mecca Route initiative aimed at easing immigration difficulties to pilgrims. President Muhammadu Buhari appreciated the National Hajj Commission officials for the measures being put in place towards ensuring successful Hajj exercises by the nation's pilgrims, especially the reduction in Hajj fares, which he described as a worthy initiative.
I'm pleased to hear that you are working with the Ministry of Health on protecting our citizens. As a government, this is now a key priority for us. I therefore enjoin you to ensure that adequate medical provisions and other welfare requirements are afforded to our pilgrims.
The president, however, tasked the Hajj officials to work assiduously towards guaranteeing the safety and security of Nigerian pilgrims in Saudi Arabia.
This is commendable, especially now that the recent global events have impacted our economy. Such savings will be timely and most welcome to the pilgrims as well as to Nigeria's economy. However, as you assess and review these costs, you must ensure that quality service and comfort is provided for our pilgrims. This is the core mandate of the Commission and must remain your primary goal.
Addressing newsmen later, the chairman of the commission, Zikrullah Kunle Hassan, said the coronavirus pandemic notwithstanding, as people of faith, they are optimistic that the 2020 Hajj exercise will come to be, saying, however, that the commission will never be reckless. From the State House, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
Still from Adamu Sambo, a high-powered National Humanitarian Coordination Committee has been inaugurated in a deliberate attempt by the federal government towards facilitating the smooth conduct of humanitarian activities in the country. President Muhammadu Buhari, who performed the ceremony, tasked members to ensure that all obstacles impeding the delivery of humanitarian aid to people in need are dismantled.
The committee, co-chaired by the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development, as well as the National Security Advisor, Babagana Munguno, has, amongst other objectives, speedy resolution of issues militating against the delivery of humanitarian aid, as well as promoting transparency and accountability in all aspects of interventions in areas of need. President Muhammadu Buhari noted with dismay the mindless actions of terrorists and other criminal elements that resulted in the killing, maiming, and displacing people from their communities. He, however, described as pleasing the restoration of relative peace and stability in the affected areas.
I commend the support of our friends and partners who have over the years provided humanitarian assistance to our people in need. At the same time, I also seek their understanding in situations where our sovereignty and national security require more pragmatic and proper consideration.
The president once again used the opportunity to appreciate the nation's armed forces for their commitment towards eliminating the remnants of Boko Haram terrorists and securing the affected communities for smooth resettlement and rehabilitation activities.
I urge our armed forces to put more efforts to bring the insurgency to a speedy conclusion. This government will continue to evolve ways of ensuring that all humanitarian actors receive the necessary support to carry out their activities safely in line with established principles and taking cognizance of our national security imperatives.
Co-chairman of the committee and Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development, Sadia Umar Farouk, said in the northeast of Nigeria alone, an estimated 2.2 million people have been displaced. Addressing this serious challenge, he however said, is being hampered by coordination gaps as well as clashes between security agencies and humanitarian actors.
The importance of the task ahead of us cannot be overemphasized, as our advice and resolutions will mold and shape the future of humanitarian coordination in Nigeria for the better. We must remember at all times that we are on the same side, and working together is the foundation of our collective successes to kickstart the process of early recovery, nexus, and collective outcomes.
Meanwhile, President Muhammadu Buhari has granted audience to the President of the Senate, Ahmed Lawan, and the Yobe State Governor, Mai Mala Buni, behind closed doors, but details of their discussions were not made public. From the State House, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
Away from the State House now, the Federal Capital Territory Administration has given resident doctors of the FCT chapter 24 hours ultimatum to resume work. FCT Minister of State Ramatu Tijani Aliyu stated this at a media chat as she expressed displeasure over the resident doctors' prolonged strike, despite pleas for understanding on the peculiarity on their salaries.
As a result, an emergency meeting of top management officials of the FCTA was held, where it was agreed that all necessary measures will be put in place to ensure the residents do not suffer as a result of the strike by the resident doctors. In the meantime, the administration has given the striking doctors 24 hours to resume work, after which they should consider themselves as having existed the FCT administration.
That FCT administration appreciates the commitment and dedication to duty of the Medical and Dental Association of Nigeria and all other medical and health workers who have remained true to their calling by putting societal needs above self. The Senate says it has not received communication from the executive on the review of the 2020 budget. Acting Chairman, Senate Committee on Media and Publicity, Akwashiki Godia, in a chat with National Assembly correspondents, explained that any amendment to the Appropriation Act falls under the purview of the legislature, as he reacted to reports that the executive has cut down the budget.
As we all know, a budget or appropriation is an act. It's just like a law. So executive arm cannot just reduce the appropriation by 1.5 trillion without the National Assembly. Even though they have just said it, we just read it on a paper without official communication, but we are still waiting. And in doing so, the leadership of the Senate have directed the Committee on Finance and Appropriation alongside it to consult with the leadership and to come up with a position which will be harmonized with that of the House of Reps, with few areas. One, the modalities, areas, and amount of money to be reduced in the 2020 budget.
More from the Senate. The global economic crisis leading to the fall in price of crude oil as a result of coronavirus calls for Nigerian capital market to explore other sectors of the nation's economy to remain viable. This is coming from the Chairman, Senate Committee on Capital Market, Ibikunle Amosun, during the committee's oversight to agencies under it in Lagos and Abuja.
It is time for oversights by the different Senate committees, and Committee on Capital Market is busy visiting the Nigerian Stock Exchange, Financial Market Derivative Quotation, Security and Exchange Commission, Investment and Securities Tribunal Lagos Zonal Offices, as well as the Central Security Clearance System, Lagos. The Securities and Exchange Commission held office Abuja, Affairs Commodities Exchange Limited, Nigeria Commodities Exchange, as well as Investment and Securities Tribunal head office Abuja also hosted the members of the committee. Worried over the low economic activities in the capital market due to the effect of coronavirus in Lagos, where 90% Nigeria's capital market activities take place, feature prominently. The committee is offering legislative interventions to support the agencies cope with the global economic realities of recession.
As we speak, KAMA is just been passed in the Senate. The PIB bill, we are revisiting it. Again, this Security and Investment Act, we are looking at it. We are looking at how we can make our pension to work more for us.
In Abuja, the committee acknowledged activities at Affect Commodity Exchange and the Nigerian Commodities Exchange and warehouse projects across the nation to ensure food security and better prices for farmers.
We have those warehouses with products that are either owned by farmers who are storing to preserve value and be able to get capital appreciation when they sell.
What we do here is to provide a transparent trading platform for the buying and selling of commodities.
They create opportunities for our farmers. So they are like the off-takers.
The common ground was to strengthen the investment and securities tribunals across the country to restore investors' confidence.
Let's now join Jennifer Igwe in Lagos for reports making rounds in that axis. Jennifer, it's over.
Thank you, Lydia, and welcome to Lagos. Now, major mosques within the Lagos metropolis were devoid of the faithful this Friday, following a recent ban by the state government on religious gatherings exceeding 50 worshippers. Adeola Komi Akere, who monitors the situation, reports.
Studio. Since the outbreak of the coronavirus, a lot of organizations are taking measures to prevent the virus from getting into their organizations. And so goes to churches and, of course, mosques. And recently, the Lagos state government placed a ban on worship at various worship centers. And just right here behind me is supposed to be a place filled with our Muslim brothers and sisters who observe the Jumat on Friday. On a normal Friday, there will be no vehicles parked here because this will be the prayer ground for our Muslim brothers and sisters. The ban is fully in effect, and I have with me here Said Adigun, who will be telling us the measures the NTA Lagos Network Center Mosque has put in place to toe the line of the Lagos state government. Thank you very much.
Well, I've come around there to fulfill the other obligations of Juma, because Juma is an aspect of it. The normal regular Salat we do, which is Salat to Zuhr, is what I've come to observe here. As you can see, there are just about very few of us, less than 10 actually, that we've just prayed together and we're okay. The regulation the state has put in place is in line with the Sharia. It's compliant, because in the Sirah, in the history of Islam, according to the fiqh, there are fiqh that regulates plagues, stuff like that when it happens, and what we should do. So it's just a way to regulate, and I'm sure it's going to be temporary.
Thank you very much. Well, we just heard from Said Adigun appreciating the Lagos state government for what they are doing because it's in line with the Islamic injunction. Well, that's it from here. It's back to you in the studio.
Thank you, Diola. Now, Nigeria's democracy could serve as a template for fledgling democracies, having existed uninterrupted for 21 years, if political parties continue to deliver on the gains of democracy to the electorate, recommendations on how to ensure the citizens are politically fulfilled are contained in a publication titled 52 Thoughts on Nigeria's Politics, presented to the public in Lagos. Imole Ayotokide reports.
Politics is the struggle of contending ideological viewpoints on the allocation and distribution of resources. It is an integral part of national development. In a country of more than 200 million people, how conversant are Nigerians with politics? 28-year-old Anu Oluwayale, a graduate of accounting, and Kingsley Sadu, a graduate of economics, both believe that politics in Nigeria is on the right path.
It's about the framework
the way Nigeria operates, the way the constitution is.
I don't just delve into what someone said or what I hear. I try to find out the source of certain information I get.
To ensure Nigerians are more politically conscious, a book titled 52 Thoughts on National Politics, a book of commentaries written by this 22-year-old graduate of politics and international relations, Morenike Adebayo, was unveiled. The publication opens up conversations about key issues in Nigerian politics while x-raying the few loopholes within the political system.
For anybody who desires a new Nigeria or a better Nigeria, I think the book is a must-have.
The book recommends a reappraisal of Nigeria's most relevant political and social structures with the use of illustrative cartoon characters.
I've decided to write a book because I want to inspire people to seek change in Nigerian politics, society and the economy.
The book is recommended for every Nigerian. In Lagos, Imole Ayotokide, NTA News.
That's all from Lagos at this hour. Back to Lydia in Abuja for more on Nationwide. Lydia, over to you.
Many thanks, Jennifer. Now to security. The Nigerian military says several Islamic State of West Africa province ISWAP leaders and fighters have been neutralized and their dwellings destroyed in a cluster of settlements west of Alinwa on the green fringes of Lake Chad in northern Borno State. In a press statement released by the Directorate of Defense Media Operations and signed by Acting Director Brigadier General Bernard Onyeuko, this was achieved on 18th of March 2020 in an air interdiction by Operation Lafia Dole during the ongoing subsidiary operations Decisive Edge. Intelligence reports indicate that some top ISWAP commanders and some of their fighters and designated suicide bombers had assembled at the location for meetings aimed at orchestrating coordinated attacks against a number of targets in Borno State and environs. Fighter jets of Operation Lafia Dole were then dispatched to the location, recording hits on several structures housing the ISWAP leaders and fighters, destroying them and neutralizing their occupants. The Nigerian military will continue to sustain the offensive against the enemies of our nation. The Court of Appeal, Abuja Judicial Division, has set aside judgment of the FCT High Court that sacked Senator Ifeanyi Ubah of the Young Progressive Party from the National Assembly. Delivering judgment on the appeal filed by Senator Ifeanyi Ubah, the court held that the entire process that led to the judgment of the lower court was a nullity. Osna Nyebe was there.
Senator Ifeanyi Ubah approached the Court of Appeal praying that it set aside judgment of the FCT High Court that sacked him on the allegation that he submitted a forged NECO certificate to the Independent National Electoral Commission during the 2019 election, which he won. He predicated his appeal on the ground that he was denied fair hearing as he was neither served with the originating processes nor hearing notice with respect to the suit that led to his sack from the Senate. More so that the FCT High Court lacked the territorial jurisdiction to hear and determine a pre-election matter that arose from an election in Anambra State. The Court of Appeal, presided over by Justice Stephen Ada, in delivering judgment, considered all the issues for determination and resolved them in favor of the appellant, Senator Ifeanyi Ubah, saying the lower court did not follow a diligent process before its judgment, particularly that the senator was not heard in the matter, as fair hearing is fundamental in any judicial proceeding. It further held that the FCT High Court, Abuja, lacked the territorial jurisdiction to entertain the matter, and consequently decisions reached by the court was a nullity and set aside. From the Court of Appeal, Abuja Division, Austin Anyebe, NTA News.
Sokoto is our next port of call, and Musa Abubakar is our guide.
Good evening, and you are welcome to Sokoto. For communities to ensure delivery and ownership of quality infrastructural development, participation in conception and implementation of constituency projects is key. This is the message of a sensitization organized by ICPC in Sokoto. The report. Members of communities like this are said to have little or no knowledge of their rights to monitor and own constituency projects. Little wonder, lots of constituency projects are marred by corruption, which undermine development in communities. This interactive session is organized by Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission and National Orientation Agency to enlighten members of communities to play active role in the implementation processes of constituency project in their locality. This is aimed at promoting transparency and accountability, as well as making sure that the desired impact is achieved.
The ICPC was able to recover from those projects that were either underperformed or under-executed or absolutely not executed. They need to be carried along by these legislators so that they contribute meaningfully on what type of projects they want to be executed in their locality, so that they should take ownership and buy in this project.
Wrongdoing, if detected, can be reported to ICPC. With the team My Constituency, My Project, the campaign provides alternative solutions to make sure that dividends of democracy reach the grassroots. Governor Aminu Waziri Tambuwal has described the disbursement of financial grants under the micro-incentive program by the Sokoto state government as a way of empowering rural dwellers. He made this known at the disbursement of grants in Raba and Binji local government areas. Dalhat Abdullahi reports.
The first phase of the disbursement has so far covered 12 local government areas with 14,400 rural men and women as beneficiaries. Out of the 12 local governments covered, 10 local governments have 1,000 men and women each as beneficiaries, while Sokoto North and Sokoto South had 2,200 beneficiaries each. The financial grant was designed to offer rural poor opportunity to engage in small businesses to change their living condition for the better. It is also serving as a strategy toward encouraging the rural communities to support government policies and programs, especially education and healthcare services. This they can do through enrolling their school-aged children in schools and allowing pregnant and nursing mothers to ensure regular hospital visits for antenatal care, immunizations, as well as ensuring hospital deliveries. The state government has set aside 4 billion naira for the disbursement program, targeting 200,000 beneficiaries in 3 years. In Sokoto, Dalhat Abdullahi, NTA News.
That's it from here. It's back to you, Lydia.
Many thanks, Musa. The federal government is rolling up a strategic campaign to improve on water, sanitation and hygiene initiative aimed at making efficiency in public health. During his visit to NTA, Minister of Water Resources Suleiman Adamu stated that a strong partnership with relevant organizations is on course to achieve the goals of the campaign for safe water and hygiene.
The ministry that is coordinating all the water and hygiene related activities, we're coordinating Sustainable Development Goal 6. Goal 6.1 relates to water supply, Goal 6.2 relates to sanitation. And we feel we have a contribution to make in making Nigerians aware of the need for personal hygiene and personal sanitation so that we can collectively help to fight this threat of coronavirus.
NTA, the right place. We have over 118 transmitters strategically located in all parts of Nigeria. And in addition to that, all other Nigerians outside Nigeria will be able to pick all these discussions you are talking about, the importance of water, the relevance, the negative effect of climate change with their phones anywhere they are in any part of the whole world.
This year's World Water Day is celebrated with the theme, Water and Climate Change, to deliberately analyze global challenges in the provision of clean water to the people. The event is coming at a time Nigeria and the global community is putting measures to sweep the coronavirus pandemic, and that is why the campaign includes public sensitization on preventive steps against the spread of the disease. We'll now join Dotun Ogunyemi in Lagos for the situation report on the reduction of petroleum pump price in Lagos. Dotun, fill us in. What is the situation in Lagos?
Well, the situation, as you rightly mentioned, is quite that some petrol filling stations have already complied with the directive to reduce their pump price, and we are currently at Alfred Ruwani Way in Ikoyi, where the NNPC filling station where I am standing presently has reduced its pump price, and that is why you will see many motorists here who have come to now purchase fuel at the present price of 125. And it's also essential to note that the Department of Petroleum Resources has sealed off some filling stations who have refused to comply with the directive. And just to talk more on that, I have with me Mr. Ayo Kadoso. He is the zonal operations coordinator for the Lagos area office, and he is with the Department of Petroleum Resources. Can you tell us some of the modalities that have taken place since the reduction in fuel price?
Okay, for as far as our own mandate is concerned, when we got the directive that the prices have been reduced, we send our people out to ensure compliance, and they've gone around since yesterday. We have some level of compliance from NNPC, some of the major marketers, but my men are still on duty. They are going around to tell us the level of compliance.
But before we came to this particular filling station, we had a visit to other filling stations where you have shut it down. Yes. Can you give us the statistics of how many filling stations have been shut down so far?
Yeah, as at now I can't give you full statistics, but I can tell you that any station that we went to and they are not complying, we shut it down.
All right.
Any station that we've been to, we make sure that we shut it down.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Kadoso. And from that, we can understand that motorists in Lagos really cannot wait, of course, to continue to benefit from this and ensure that there's a full compliance right around the metropolis. And also with me is Mr. Bashir. He is also with the Department of Petroleum Resources, and he's just to give us a national outlook of what entails across the country.
Yeah, thank you very much. Actually, since the directive from the federal government, we have sent out memos and we had a teleconference with all our operations controllers to direct that the new price regime be complied with. And I'm happy to say that a lot of this thing is happening. Of course, we have some pockets of resistance, which we are addressing as a department by deploying our mechanism, internal mechanism to address those pockets of resistance that we are seeing.
All right, thank you so much, sir. All right, and that's actually what the situation is presently in Lagos. And of course, motorists have also lauded the federal government's directive to reduce the fuel pump price to 125 naira.
Thank you so much, Doctor. We hope at the end of the day they all comply. Thank you so much. Now let's join Chinenye Nwonye in Enugu for more reports on Nationwide.
Thank you, Lydia, and welcome to Enugu. The Enugu state government has approved the sum of 330 million naira to tackle any emergency arising from the coronavirus in the state. The leader of the state emergency response team and permanent secretary, State Ministry of Health, Dr. Ifeanyi Agujobi, made this known after an emergency meeting with the state executive council on the level of preparedness in case of any outbreak of coronavirus in the state. Susan Eze has details.
To get Enugu State adequately equipped to handle the now trending coronavirus, should it be confirmed in the state, the rapid response team, according to the leader, presented several logistic needs and funds before the State Executive Council for approval. In line with the recommendations of the National Center for Disease Control, the team requested the redesignation and upgrade of the State Isolation Center at Colliery Hospital, Enugu, to the State Teaching Hospital with more high-tech facilities and for the convenience of patients and caregivers. ESCO, he said, approved this and other requests for the procurement of protective equipment, fully fitted ambulances, as well as funds for requisite training of health workers and public enlightenment.
The Enugu State Executive Council did approve what I requested, and in addition, approved 100 million, making it 330 million in all. This 100 million will be kept in the Emergency Operations Center account, so that should there be any need to access fund before the next ESCO, we wouldn't be talking that there is no fund.
Advising the public not to panic, but to maintain strict personal hygiene, Dr. Agujobi assured that all is being done to handle any emergencies in the state. In Enugu, Susan Eze, NTA News.
And following the federal government's directive on the downward review of pump price of petroleum products, some major marketers in Enugu State have already complied, while the independent marketers are yet to comply. Chika Ugu, who monitored the situation, reports that residents of the state have commended the move by the federal government.
The outbreak of coronavirus has become a major challenge to the global economy, even as nations across the world struggle to contain the virus. The global oil market is one of the major industries affected by the crisis, forcing oil prices to an all-time low. This development has continued to take its toll on most economies of the world, including Nigeria. As part of measures to alleviate the sufferings of the masses, the federal government took the decision to reduce the pump price of petroleum motor spirits (PMS) from 145 naira to 125 naira per litre.
The federal government, they are trying their best to the masses of this country, and we are very happy with them.
It will also help commodities to step down, so that everything will be moving fine.
A visit around major areas in the metropolis shows that most major marketers and the NNPC mega station have complied to the directive. Meanwhile, the independent marketers are yet to adhere to the directive.
The stocks they have, they bought at a exorbitant price, at the old price, which was meant to be sold at 145 naira. But I believe when they exhaust those products, they don't have any option than to revert to the new price.
We're selling that rate because we still have old stock down in the underground, so we can't just change our price automatically.
It is believed by many that the commendable measure taken by the federal government will have a positive impact on her economy. This will also provide relief to Nigerians and offer a framework for sustainable supply of fuel to millions of customers in the country. In Enugu, Chika Ugu, NTA News.
And that is it from Enugu. Nationwide continues with Lydia in Abuja after this break. Do stay.
Some of the girls were having difficulties in their academics, and they now decided to ask us to help out. And we've decided to teach them other things, other skills. To invest in a woman is really to invest in a nation, because the women really are the heart of the family.
These days, people get their news and information from more media sources than ever before. Some of the news and information given are fake, unverified, doctored, and manufactured to create confusion, stir disaffection, and cause disunity. Before you believe or share any news, ask yourself, is this real? Is it from a credible source? Is it verified or verifiable? Fake news is dangerous. Whether you do it for fun or for political gains, real people can get hurt. Fake news, don't create it, don't spread it.
This is a public service announcement from NTA.
Thanks for staying. The campaign to give equal opportunities to women cuts across all aspects of national development, and in continuation of the celebration of International Women's Month, the Minister of Women Affairs is taking the advocacy to different sections of the country. The ministers met with her counterpart in transport, where the Minister of State, Senator Gbemi Saraki, advised women to foray into shipping as a business that can earn them the needed funds to participate actively in politics. The delegation also reached out to the Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment, where the minister called on the ministry to facilitate loans through Nexim Bank to enable women develop and grow their businesses. President Muhammadu Buhari condoles with Dr. Uche Diala, the coordinator Buhari's hangout over the loss of his father, Sir Gervais Diala, who died at the age of 85. In a statement, the president prayed for the departed whose legacy stand the test of time, being survived by accomplished children who would keep the flag of the Diala dynasty flying. He therefore enjoins the family to be comforted by the fact that their patriarch lived a worthy life as a devout Christian, community leader, and educationist. He admonished the children of the deceased to emulate the virtues of their father. And that ends Nationwide. Thank you for watching. Do have a pleasant evening. I am Lydia Ojiji Ochi. Bye for now.